Wait. All right, let's start. Hey everyone, welcome to Ferny Un-tuned, where we talk about the Over the Rainbow series, and this being the after show, we get to discuss all kinds of stuff that I didn't get a chance to talk about in the episode. I am so excited about this series because I've been wanting to do something like this for a very long time, and I think this is the first time that I've had like all the pieces kind of fit in the way that I wanted them to. So my video content has been about trying to educate, trying to inform, and yeah, sometimes trying to entertain you guys, but definitely trying to bring some clarity and some understanding about like what it really is to be a psychic, to be a medium, to be spiritually minded, and trying to really develop yourself spiritually in the world that we live in these days. So I'm pretty proud of this series because I just think everything that I wanted to put into a series, if I were going to have my own show, if I were going to do something on that level like this, I think really brings together all of those pieces. I think the cinematography is amazing. I think that the different camera views during a session is pretty cool because you get to really be there with me when I'm going through the whole process. And I just had so much fun shooting the footage and really getting artistic and really being expressive in the way that I wanted things to be conveyed. So I'm really happy with the final product. During the shooting of this first episode, well, actually I had originally shot another session with someone, and it was an amazing session. So much information came through there, but oh my god, did I have so many issues with the cameras. One of my cameras did not shoot properly. It did shoot the footage, but it didn't save it when I stopped it, and that's my fault because I didn't stop it correctly. And then the other camera, there was a loud humming sound throughout the entire session, so it was really hard to distinguish some of that sound out of there. You know, it's like I was so frustrated because I was trying so hard with that first shooting, and I decided, you know what, let me just do this again. So shooting this footage, trying to do something like this has been a journey for me because I've, like I said, done videos in the past, but you know, it's never been exactly what I wanted, and I think this is the one that's gotten the closest. Actually, this is what I've been wanting. The episode that I shot is exactly what I've been wanting to do for such a long time. So I'm pretty stoked and happy about that. I wanted to basically give you just a little bit about my backstory, like what happened that led me to do this work, to start having psychic experiences. My first experience with psychic phenomenon was when I was in my very early teens. So I one day was walking into the kitchen, and as I was walking into the kitchen, I heard a voice in my mind. And what was interesting about this voice is that it sounded just like my voice, except it was calmer and there was a sense of authority with it. It was the sound of a voice in my head, except it was my own voice. It's like when you're thinking something, it almost sounded like that. And the voice just told me, you know, Fernando, what would you do if there was a fire in the kitchen? As I was hearing that voice in my mind, I actually had a visual. I had this visual image. It was almost like a memory replaying itself, except it was something that hadn't happened yet. And it was a memory of a fire on the stove and the cabinets burning. I wondered, I was like, what would I do? Like, if this ever happened, what would I do? Would I just just try to get out of here? Would I let the house burn down? What would I do? And so I came up with a plan of action. My plan was to hold my breath and run straight ahead, go up to the sink, feel for the hose, pull out the little water hose that is attached to the sink, and then spray out the fire with water, and then go out the side door, the back door, and catch my breath when I got outside. Every day for the next week, I would go into the kitchen, and I would repeat the same thing over and over and over again. And I was like preparing for this like hypothetical thing. Well, the end of the week comes around and my mom's at work, and I made myself some pancakes. Right above the kitchen stove, there was a fire alarm. And so whenever, a smoke alarm. And so whenever we would cook, the smoke alarm would go off. And it was annoying. I mean, it was so annoying. I don't know what genius thought that it was okay to put a smoke alarm right above the stove, but someone did. So, The smoke alarm had already been going off when I was cooking because that was normal. And our stove was a hand-me-down, but it had some issues, it had some problems. It was an electric stove, so when you turned it on, if you ever tried to turn it off, sometimes it wouldn't turn off. The way we actually used to turn off our stove was you would turn it off, you'd put your hand over the coils, and you'd mess with the knobs to see if the coils would actually stop giving heat. So that's how we would turn it off. The alarm was still going even when I left. It just hadn't stopped blaring. But we got used to that so often, and we just tuned it out. I untuned, which is exactly what this show is about, right? Untuned, me being not plugged into the spirit world while I'm doing this. So I was eating my breakfast, and I heard the alarm blaring, didn't think anything of it, and then in my head, I heard that same voice again, the voice that I heard 1 week before. And that voice came forward and was saying, Ferny, go to the kitchen. And I mean, I heard it very clearly, and it was just very like subtle, but it was there. Pretty comfortable in bed, eating, watching my shows. I don't want to go to the kitchen. It became one of those like obsessive thoughts, you know, like if you ever leave home and you don't know if you locked the door or not, it's like, did I lock the door? Did I lock the door? Like it becomes an obsessive thought. It's like there and it's nagging at me. So I heard it a third time, and I was like, and it's like, and at this time, by the third time I heard it, it was much louder, and it was more like, you need to get your butt to the kitchen. Like that's what it felt like, but it was like, Ferny, go to the kitchen. And as I was walking into the kitchen, I actually started to see smoke billowing out of the doorway. And at that point I'm like, oh crap, like what just happened, or what's going on there? So I immediately walked up to the doorway and I looked into the kitchen, and it was exactly what I had seen 1 week prior in my mind. And in that moment, I'm like freaking out, and I'm like, what should I do? What should I do? It's like your brain kind of falls out of your head. And then I was like, no, I know what to do. Like, I know what to do. I've been practicing this all week. I know exactly what I'm supposed to do because this is what I've been doing. I held my breath. I ran into the smoke-filled kitchen where I couldn't see anything, and I went straight to the sink, pulled out the hose, put out the fire, which so happened to be a grease fire nonetheless, because there was grease marks on it was a really old stove. So there was grease built up like on parts of the stove, and then my pan had somehow caught on fire because it was close enough to the coils where when that all caught, it caught too, and then it started to blare. Apparently you're not supposed to put a grease fire out with water, but that's what I did, and it went out. And I ran out the back door, and I ran into the yard, and I started breathing again. Our house at the time had burglar bars around the entire exterior. We lived in a bad side of town, so the rest of the house had burglar bars. So if I wasn't able to get out through that back door, I would have been stuck in that house and I would have died. But after that, I began having more psychic experiences, and I always think back to myself, like, why did that happen? Like, why then of all times, why did that happen at that time? I think back to, you know, something that I did a week prior to that, which was I was watching one of my favorite shows, which is a show called Star Trek Voyager. And on the show, there's this character, her name is Cass, and she had special abilities, and she could telepathically communicate, and she could also move things with her mind, and she could sense things, and I thought that was so cool. I started to ponder and think about myself, and I wondered, and I said, well, I wonder what we as humans are capable of. Like, what can we do as people? I opened my mind to the potential, to the possibility, and then I began having psychic experiences after that, and they kept going and kept going and kept going. So now when I meet people, or like my own partner, my own family members, they start having psychic experiences. Just asking the question, just being open to it will make you more receptive, will open you up to the potential of communicating and connecting, not only with those in spirit, but also with your guides, also sensing things and feeling things about, you know, now, what's coming up, etc. All right, guys, so I hope that this video has helped you guys understand more about my history and how this all started up for me, and hopefully answered that question that you may have had because of the promo. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Feel free to comment in the comment section below. Please subscribe to my channel if you're on my Facebook. Then go ahead and like my page. And also I've got my contact info right here. So if you want to look me up on Instagram or on Twitter, I'm also there. Thank you everyone for untuning with me, and I will talk to you guys next week. Okay, bye bye.